everybody. This is the regular meeting of the Darien Parks and Recreation Commission. It is November 19th. Call to order at 7:31. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from October 15th, 2025. Does anybody have any corrections or changes?
No.
No, as usual. They look excellent as far as I'm concerned. Okay, then can I get a motion to approve? Mary Louise, Chris second, all in favor? Okay, great. I'm not turning around because I can't.
You what? Public comment?
Jenny, I think I know.
No, I'm good.
I have a sore back, so I can't quite
You're good.
turn.
Thank you.
So, excuse my back to you.
That's okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's go into the discussion of proposed revisions to the rules. Get to that page. Yeah, and Jen's gonna put them up on the screen. It looks like people have them with you, and they are.
Do you want to see it under red line or the clean version?
I've been reading through the red line.
I'm a red line person
Yeah.
myself.
It just gets very tricky.
My printer
There's so
defaulted
much.
to black and white, and I was like, no, no.
Okay.
So I think you can run us through, I mean, we'll do a bit of a page turn, but just sort of like the concepts, unless people, if there was something you have a question on, or you don't like the way it's worded or something, then let us know.
So the majority of what we saw were things that, as we go along and you're doing your regular daily business, you start noticing things that we really need to address or try to firm things up. Probably the bulk of what you see in here was really formatting, because it was all over the place. So Tamara did a great job. She spent a lot of time trying to, are they letters, are they numbers, are they whatever, and trying to clarify things. Some things we just kind of moved around a little bit and thought that they made more sense in different locations. Again, some things were things that we address or we wanted to address. Some things we took also from kind of Westport. We had the rules and regs that we had there. There were some things that we thought made sense to kind of
about that. I said,
include in a few things.
Which is good.
So I think it was a painstaking process that we went through, but I think it, in the end it'll be better. One of the things we did, the reasons we took out KEG just on this first page, we took out about KEG because we don't have it really in the back part. It only talks about alcohol permits, so we removed that.
Can I ask one general question that goes through this? So at the top, it says Darien Parks and Rec. Director says Director of Parks and Recreation. But other places in your department is Park and Rec?
It's Park and Rec Commission.
Okay.
So although we believe, we didn't want to change Park and Rec Commission because it's part of, that's how it's written in the ordinance.
Okay.
So we're the Parks and Recreation Department, and we always say Parks and Recreation Commission, which I think makes sense. It's not one park.
Yep.
But for technicality purpose, we kept it as Park and Rec Commission here, Recreation Commission here, so that it corresponds properly with.
Yeah, I've noticed that in the town code.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just going through the whole thing. And
It's only one park.
Yeah, we're
okay.
like, it doesn't really make sense and it doesn't read right, but we didn't know if it would cause a problem, so we kept that the same. So that's what that is. We also thought it would be good to include what the park properties are, so we listed them in there. The climbing trees and the picking flowers, it's still in there. It's just we simply moved them under miscellaneous rules, I believe. Under the protection of wildlife, we added in, again, this will be a part of the discussion, is about fishing.
Yeah.
Right, so it is in our rules that fishing is not allowed. Whether or not you want to change that, that's a separate story, but for now, so what we did is we did add fish in terms of protecting wildlife. So we put fish in here, and then we also added about feeding of waterfowl is prohibited because people really shouldn't be feeding the waterfowl. It's bad for them themselves as well as,
Do you want to distinguish between cherry lawn and how you could fish in that pond versus fishing at Weed Beach or Carrington Beach where you might be inclined to
Weed
use
is
some
an
cast
exception.
weed is an
Weed is an
exception,
exception,
and that's under the beach.
under the beach
Beach
piece.
section.
Before we do it procedurally, we could do two ways. So we could either get to a thing and stop and discuss it, or we can go through everything. I'll make notes of the decision points, and then once we get through the whole thing, have a discussion of all the decision
I think
points.
that's a
Which
good
would you
idea.
prefer?
Sure.
I'm indifferent.
Well, I'll do whatever, but I'd rather discuss as we go, because I don't know how many, if it's two things, it's easy enough, but if we spend a lot of time going through everything, and then maybe we just go to the next meeting
So-
if we don't
Yeah,
get it.
I agree.
To Ed's point, though, there's a couple of places where it's mentioned multiple times throughout, so I think it might be best Lori's way if we just
It
try and,
wasn't my way, I was just putting out the options.
just try and find
Go
out
either
what we
way.
need to discuss, and then discuss it, and then you can go back and change all of it to
Okay.
Matt?
make sense.
Oh, what we
Yeah.
need to, okay.
Okay.
The other thing is, it's a long document, and there are a lot of changes, and so it's a good idea to kind of have an overview of what we need to discuss.
Okay, so we're gonna discuss.
Otherwise, we're gonna be here a
Fishing.
long
Yeah.
time.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. Okay, thank you.
So then in the next section, we just added emblems, because we thought that's how it should be referred to, in terms of like, for stickers. Again, it goes back to just the consistency and clarity. In that section, we did add in e-bikes, including e-bikes and scooters. And then one of the things that may come up is we wanted clarity, and this is one of the things that comes up all the time, is, if you notice, in the middle of that, we added, under C, kind of in the middle, Darien residents or Darien real estate taxpayers may obtain a permit for a fee determined by the commission. And that's, we think it's important to differentiate real estate taxes versus like just a property tax. Because somebody could have a business and they don't live here, they have a business here, claim property tax on the stuff in their office, and then technically.
Yeah, I thought it was a good clarification.
But this also captures people who are non-residents, but they own a property here. Like, you know, in other words, like, if I could
Yes.
choose to not be a Connecticut resident and not pay Connecticut taxes, but still live in Darien, that would be great. And so I wouldn't be able to be on this commission, but like, that's what that's also capturing, right? Someone who's like, lives in Florida legally, but has a house here.
Well, these are real estate taxes though.
Right, so if they have a house
Yeah.
here, they pay real estate
Yeah.
taxes.
If-
But they don't
Yes,
live
If they're
here.
paying property,
Yeah.
property
Yeah,
tax.
yes, I think that makes sense.
Yes, so we wanted to make that distinction.
Or I have friends who bought a house in town and they rent it to their kids.
Yeah.
But they're the property owners.
But the renters get the,
In this case, I think they both live.
yeah.
We also added in here, again, we wanted to be clear that, you know, that the loan or transfer of permits automatically forfeits the right to use the beaches at resident rates. The length of forfeiture as well as review and or possible revocation of beach privileges will be determined by the Parks and Recreation Commission. Actually, the one I was thinking of comes up later. So then again, what we wanted to do was to clarify for eligibility. This was something that we kind of took out of Westport and then tailored it to Darien to tighten up kind of what's required to make sure that people are basically not cheating the system. So it's, you know, requiring a whole bunch of different pieces.
Should, in the eligibility, should that department or should that be the commission?
mean, those are the things that the department is gonna follow, but the rules are set by the commission. I think it's, because it's emblem privileges of the department, because the emblems are
Okay.
of the department. I mean, I could go either way on that one, but. One of the other things we added in here was on page 3 was E, which is about forgery, because we have had this happen.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And we took that from Westport. So, basically to make sure that it's made very clear that they can't do that. Again, just talking about not having somebody parked overnight. Again, feel free to just jump out. I don't want to spend too much time going over stuff. On page 4 under G was, I'm on more page.
Well, did you pass F, on the sound?
Yeah.
So,
That's at the bottom of this page.
oh, I thought
I
you
haven't
were
gotten there yet, sorry.
Sorry.
No,
okay.
at the top, I just
Oh,
want to say,
that
like, we
G.
did 14 days on the very top, 14 days prior to activity event. Again, just to clarify, because it was 2 weeks, so it's, again, just trying to make it more clear and concise.
So
for
is that
people.
14 calendar days, 14
Yeah, if
business
we say
days,
14 days, it would
town
be-
hall days?
It would be 14 calendar days.
Okay.
Um,
Then you might want to
so-
calendar days.
Again, we get to the fishing thing. Under the picnic area, we just wanted it to make it clear that it should be in the grills that are provided by the department, not people contact us wanting to bring in all sorts of things for fires, so we say no, so we just wanted that clarified. And then sound. So sound was something that we wanted to.
Can I ask,
Yep.
like, so if I play Spotify through my phone, is that allowed? Or is that potentially?
Well,
But
as
I mean,
long
that's
as you
the
don't
issue.
hear it within 20 feet,
Okay, because then,
beyond 20 feet.
okay, but like, so then I guess I'm not sure we're, in general, like, I have to say, like, I'm not a fan of like rules that we're not gonna enforce, and so this would just seem to be one where like, people are gonna go to the beach and they're gonna play music. People, I mean, I don't, but I see people play music at like pickleball courts, and I'm kind of like, you don't wanna kind of disturb your neighbor, but like, what you can hear at 20 feet at age 20 is different than what you hear at 20 feet at age 50 or age 60. And people can talk. I don't know, I just, if we wanted to say like, you can't be louder than this many decibels, like whether it's amplified sound, talking, whatever, like that's a standard. But in terms of what you can hear at 20 feet is very subjective.
Well, I think that's the whole issue. I think it is subjective. And I think this particular instance to me evoked thoughts of the beach.
Yeah.
Because I do know that there are problems on the beach where some people are playing music and it's disruptive to other people. And so
And
sort
that's
of,
the key, the disruptive.
So let's put,
Right.
let's put sound on the list.
sound on the
Okay.
list.
Sound is on the
Okay,
list.
yes, yeah,
Thanks,
okay.
Lori.
Sound's on the
It's
list.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then if we just keep going through, under beverages,
Oh, and just sorry, on the tennis, pickleball platform tennis on hours, I'm fine with the rule as it is, but I don't, like right now, we have like a rule for pickleball that is not enforced. That people play, like we have hours for the park and then we have hours for the pickleball court. And I don't know if we have hours for like the basketball court or the playground or whatever else, but to me, like if the park is open, it's open. And so I don't know if that's not really here, because like the language I agree with the language, no person shall play outside of the designated hours, but it's a question of, I don't know if the hours are designated elsewhere in here, in which
I think
case
they're
I would.
posted at the park.
Right,
Yeah,
but-
and so those are the hours that it's referring
right,
to.
but so so I'm fine with the language here in the rules, but in terms of the language that sets the hours themselves, like how is that set? Like, is that in this?
outside of this discussion?
That's what I'm saying, is it like
We
in
can
this
add it to
document
the
or
list
is
to
it?
discuss, but no, we voted on them
Yeah,
separately, as
yeah.
you'll recall.
So maybe they
what,
don't have to be, they can just be maybe referred to this.
2 years ago, or,
Because we have addendum 5 is for the paddle tennis courts and paddle hut. And that has hours.
Yeah, and so it's just, and well, and that's maybe different with the hut, but that's just a bit of a philosophy thing. Like, I'm not sure why we would be setting hours for some activities and not others. But again, it's less about the hours, it's like we're not enforcing it.
oh, we could,
Well,
as long as they're published, we could.
Right. And under the court rules, it just talks, it says hours designated by the commission.
Well, the hours for the park is sundown, right?
sunset to,
Sunset.
Yeah.
And then
And
for, if you
sunrise.
have lights at paddle courts, it's gonna be different hours, you know, until
True.
10 o'clock or whatever, so.
Yep.
But if it's posted that 10 o'clock is the end, or in the, when you're signing up for teams, I think it's understood that 10 o'clock is the last time you can play on there, right?
yeah, but I'm thinking at Cherry.
Cherry lawn, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're thinking like in the morning, like people playing at 6
People play at
a.m.?
sunrise, people play at sunrise. Yeah,
No.
and I'm not sure why we have a rule that says they can, and yet
Because
they
we were
actually
trying to
play.
be
But they
respectful of the neighbors and the noise.
Yeah, but they do anyway.
But it's,
I
they do
know they
anyway,
do,
like, I'm not, it's
but-
not, it doesn't seem to really be an issue.
Yeah.
I just don't like having rules that we don't enforce. I don't like, I mean, I love guidelines, I love guidelines. I hate rules.
You know, it's gonna be neighbor rules. But anyway, all right, we'll add that to the list. Keep going.
So then we had under just miscellaneous, we just clarified about the glass bottles. The dog-ish part, whole section, a lot of red here.
Yeah.
That's because we just tried to clean it up and make it, it's the same, we didn't change any of the language, but we did try to make it a little bit more,
You cleaned it up.
obvious. We
Cleaned it up.
cleaned it up.
You
and
did a
we-
good job and you organized it very nicely.
Right. One thing though that we did put into it was, and I don't know where this is probably gonna be discussion, but that dogs should not be on athletic fields. You know, it's one thing to be around the outside, like, if you brought a dog with you to the sidelines is one thing, but they shouldn't be on the playing
That's
surface.
always been the case.
So, no, there was nothing in here, it never said anything about athletic
Because the
fields.
signs are posted. Okay,
So that was one of the things that we thought, you know, not only playground, you know, it should be playgrounds, it should be, and athletic fields should be included. So that has been added to this section. So that's something. But yeah, it was really, other than that, just cleaning it up.
If this is a long answer,
Yeah.
table it, but is there a reason we don't allow dogs at all at town hall fields? Like, it's like there are exceptions for every field except for Hallham and Town Hall. It's like, no, it's not, I'm not like advocating, but I'm just wondering if there's something special about Town Hall.
I think there's, I mean, Diller, Holohan, there's
I mean,
others that are,
They're all
No
athletic.
dogs.
Well, Hallhan and Town Hall are the same thing to me.
okay, sorry.
But, and Diller makes sense by virtue of what it is, but like,
I think your point is, for instance, people can go to McGuan and watch their child play baseball and have their dog with them on the leash. And that's what you're saying.
I'm looking at
Yeah.
I
Hallhan
think
and
that's your
Town Hall.
question, and then the same thing where children are using those.
No, it's not even athletic related, I'm just looking at like grand green expanse at Town Hall and Hallham, why would we not allow dogs on it? And that get very little
Because
athletic
they're
use.
playing fields?
I think it probably because they're playing fields.
Okay.
And that might be why
Sure.
Well, it was
that
because
was
they're
there, but it
primarily
didn't
playing
designate, it
fields.
didn't say it that it was because it was playing fields,
I'm not like,
because.
I'm a dog person, but I'm not like advocating,
Yes.
I'm just wondering
So
But I
like
think
why
that's-
those
I
ones we
think that's
chose.
why,
Yeah.
because technically they use all areas of
Yeah,
all
okay.
of those fields
But
for
then do
playing
you want to
surfaces.
clarify the dogs can be unleashed only on the sidelines or no? Put it on the list.
I'm trying to- It's, under, dogs are not permitted at any time as follows. Playground areas, community gardens, play fields, dogs are permitted on leash and lead outside the perimeter of the play surface. That was, we wrote that on, I guess that's under Cherry Law though. So maybe we need to put that under the
Holohan.
general,
Well, a Holohan Town Hall, you could just say dogs are permitted on leash and lead outside the perimeter of the play surface or the
The
fields.
problem is the play fields at town hall are not obvious.
And that's what I'm saying, so you
Right,
can walk
that's, but
around.
that's probably why it is that way.
Yeah.
right.
So-
So you wanna just leave it
yeah.
You
alone?
have answered your own question.
Okay.
I just, yeah, like, why they can't walk a dog when they're not playing kindergarten soccer or whatever on town hall just doesn't,
Well-
it sort of seems okay to me, but.
Well, the issue is really because if they're leaving behind any,
Yeah, no, I get it.
any
So
packages,
that's, I got
any
Makes
gifts,
sense.
and then they're playing in it, you know, you don't want the kids running through it, rolling in it,
it. When,
the balls.
when rules exist for a really long time, there's usually good reasons for
Right.
them. And I just got one that struck me as curious, so that's good. That's a rookie question.
No?
So then we did, there was this is where we put back in the climbing of trees, the picking of flowers. Games of chance, we just added, unless it's something that were a town event. Again, to make that clear, so nobody says like, well, what, you did it in for your
Right.
event. We keep going, the handbills thing was just moved. The mobile food vending in parks, so this was really to make sure that we're not, having people just come in and sell,
Oh,
that they should get. like-
sorry, can I just go back to handbills?
Yep.
I'm also wondering if that is a good spot where we put like posters and things.
We have, there's a line in.
There is?
There's something in here.
Oh,
for
good, thank you, because I was like.
Signage?
Signage, it's.
Signage,
P.
okay.
It's just right underneath it.
Okay,
It's under P.
Yep.
and
But the mobile food, so Mr. Softy is allowed at Pear Tree because we don't have any vending. We don't have a concession stand or machines. So he is allowed in that lot, isn't he?
Well, it
We
says
say so.
except when specifically authorized by the Parks and Rec Department as a permitted private event, well, that says a private event.
Right.
Mhm.
Is he allowed?
I thought he was
I
allowed.
mean, we've allowed some in there, but you know, we have Cherry Lawn too, is
Yeah.
where they're in there all the time.
Yeah.
Should they be? You know, so that's the question, or should it be that they have to get a permit from
I think we
us?
should
I
be
think there
controlling
should
it.
at
You
least
could
be
end up
some
with 10
control.
trucks.
Right.
Well, get some paperwork or something from us that says that they're allowed. I personally think there's no harm in having Mr. Softy, kids love it, but not at Wheat Beach where we have a concession that it competes with. Right, so I personally don't have a problem with them being at Pear Tree or Cherry Lawn, but get the paperwork that just says that we allow him to go there, I guess, right?
I'm in favor of ice cream trucks coming through our
Yeah.
parks. The question is, do we wanna make him get a permit or not? Like I don't think he should just park there all day, and he doesn't. He
Right,
comes
he
through
doesn't.
occasionally, like, he does it exactly the way it should be done,
And
so
then
like nothing's
it's-
broken.
Yeah.
But the question is, do we need to codify it?
Yeah, I'm fine with no paperwork personally, but I'm just saying, like,
Then we
you
could end up
mentioned
with
about
10.
permits.
Did you want 10 ice cream trucks or 10 food vendors lined up in Cherry Lawn?
Well,
Good.
You should for fireworks next year, there was a real shortage
Well,
of food trucks.
but that's a town-sponsored event, so
And
that's up
those are
there.
all permits.
Okay, so
Is this a problem? Do we have, I mean,
No.
it's not a problem.
No, yeah.
Yeah, he gets a lot of pushback from different areas in the town. Can't go there, can't go here, that kind of thing. And I kind of feel for the guy, because I don't know, he's a nice guy, kids love him, and,
well, I think it would be helpful if he turned off his music,
well, that's.
but that's just a side note.
Yeah.
I mean, the town also has guidance about food trucks, and they have to, it's a very old memo that was done by P&Z. I got a copy of it somewhere like 15 years ago, really long time ago. But it's very specific about they can't come and park somewhere, they have to be like moving, so that there's also that overlay of something, so, I mean, I think generally we just don't want somebody who comes and just decides to plant themselves all
Yeah, so
day.
maybe,
This is never,
what-
has this
which it said-
happened? Yeah, sorry.
No, you mean people showing up and just
Yeah.
camping out and making tacos? No,
Yeah.
no. That wasn't-
maybe you limit it to just ice cream, or dairy beverages or something like that, so that way you don't have the taco truck pulling up and pizza trucks pulling up or whatever, you know? Food trucks.
But I guess what I'm saying is like, we don't have taco trucks and pizza trucks.
We
I mean,
don't.
we're talking about fixing something that is not an actual problem.
What happens if he sells a choco taco?
Yeah.
Really good.
Oh, hell, well,
Personally, I'd rather have it documented and then it's,
And then at least we have a permit of some sort. A list, I guess, right?
Just moving on to I,
Yes.
I agree with this, for sure, but I also wonder if there's an opportunity for us, if at some point we do want to allow for someone to use pickup and charge for it. And perhaps that should be the designate, you know, you should decide that. This is limiting, in case we do want to take advantage of that at some point.
So what if, we learned, I wanna say 3-4 years ago, it was a private school that was using Baker for pickup and drop off, and they didn't have any
And they did it,
insurance.
they did it at Cherry,
Yeah,
and I believe there's also something going on at Weed.
yeah.
We believe there's some busing.
Yeah, so
going
we
on
should
there.
put some rules,
there
and
should be
for that
something.
reason, I think this is written very well. For
Yeah.
that reason, I'm just suggesting that we may want to also have a line in there in case we do decide that that's a potential way to make some money, or, you know, and there are just a couple of people who want to do it under, you know, your approval.
as I recall, this was when Kate Bush was the town administrator and the issue came up at Cherry Lawn, she was vehemently opposed to this for protection of the
Okay,
town.
Yeah.
I'm good, I just wanted to make sure we were doing
Yeah.
well by the town.
She thought it opened us up to,
Sure,
Real nice.
liability, yeah.
Yeah.
She's right.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good, I like it.
The noise and music falls under the same thing we would be in. One thing we did talk about that we missed on here, and we were like, I can't believe we missed it. But we may want to also add something about no inflatables or like specialized themed party trucks, like laser tag and bubble trucks, Nerf trucks, the different things that come. And the reason, because we do get requests for that at times. So if we allow those, then it's kind of just stuff that's disruptive to the general public's use of those parks. So we thought that would be another one that we would add there. We added open burn, because nobody should be having fires. So without authorization with the fire marshal's office and us. We also added in that the hitting of golf balls, that's a pretty typical rule, because you don't want them digging up the grass areas. We also added in the dressing or undressing in motor vehicles, or on beach areas other than designated facilities, because not appropriate.
maybe if you're under 5.
Right.
We went over, I kind of skipped over going on ice. I just wanted to know, Tilly Pond, do we put signs there when the ice is thin, do not skate on this? And then
Oh,
allow them to skate?
there
when
are
it's thin?
signs up that say like not safe, and then they flip it, I think, if
We do,
it's,
cool,
yeah,
okay, that's good.
if it is okay. Tents, we added that in, that you can't have 10 by 10 or larger. It's prohibited without prior written permission and any other necessary approvals. That's because it also requires, can be fire marshal and or building department. So that's in there. We did add R at the top here, failure to leave a Parks and Recreation facility or discontinue the use of the Parks and Rec facility when ordered to do so by Parks and Recreation staff, security staff, or police officer is prohibited. That was something we also took from Westport. That's sort of the catch-all, so that if there is an issue, we have something to PD or whomever can fall back on, to say that they need to follow the rules and regulations. Permits, we just kind of went through a lot with this one. Most of it, again, was about just trying to figure out the days and timing of when we needed things. We added in the insurance requirements here, not the specific insurance requirement, but that there is to state that they do need to provide insurance. Because the limits could change depending on when we're doing it, as the town updates things. So that's kind of in the separate rental permit facility. I mean, I think these were all pretty self-explanatory. And stop me if you're making. What is it? Let's read it.
It says beach emblem up there. Is that different language than the permit? You scroll back up a little bit. We've got it 4, it says beach emblems are required, but it's talking about a permit. Shouldn't that language be consistent?
Effective permit, but this has to do, I believe, with permits. If you get a permit for like a facility use permit.
Right, but I just said, do you want the same language describing, unless the emblem is something different?
No, because the emblem, I think that had to do with, like if you're having an event at Weed or Pear Tree during the beach season.
Ah, got it, okay.
It had to do with the emblems versus the permit.
The emblem's a nicer word for the sticker.
Right, yeah.
What we all call your sticker.
I think those were pretty much, we just kind of clarified the bond language. That's really just if we have, for the paddle hut, we require it's like a security deposit. So then we did add that we can ask for that if we want to, for a permit. So that's that on the main set of rules. Again, then we go to addendum 1, which is the beach rules. Again, this was really just cleaning it up and formatting.
I think on the beach rules, like some of these things are, like they seem very, so we say like on, this is the violations, it says they will be strictly enforced, which I'm not a lawyer, but like that to me means like there's no exceptions. And then we talk about some things that are, I would say, more serious, like fires on the beach, and then also ball playing on the beach. And the idea that some kid is throwing a ball when it's like 40 degrees outside and there's probably nobody on the beach is somehow cause for revocation of resident beach privileges seems a little bit extreme. And so I come back to like the noise that's like disruptive, like hey, if it's disruptive, it's one thing. But like a dad and his kid should be able to like throw a football when it's like not crowded.
But I think the intent of these rules is then you can go over, if it is causing a problem, you can go over if there are people around and you can say, I'm sorry, it's in the rules and reg, like,
Okay,
please
that I
stop.
have a different.
And then if they continue and continue and continue
Okay,
and don't
yeah.
follow the rules, that goes back to that other rule of saying if you don't follow the instructions.
Okay,
or the
well, like
directions.
that, I have a whole easier time with like a lot of this, but
Right.
like that, just the way it's written, I'm not sure that I read it that way. If that's how we're gonna, because again, it says strictly enforced.
I'm not sure where you're.
But it's,
Violations of prohibited activities will be strictly enforced, and then ball playing is also.
May
Right.
result.
yeah, I don't know, I
Yeah,
just,
but-
I would just, I don't know. I mean, again, no resident's really gonna read this until they get in trouble, so.
But I think with the beaches, the challenge is in the summer, because I've definitely been there where you're sitting there, you got camp set up for the afternoon, and then 10 feet from you, you know, the kids are running and throwing balls and the sand's kicking up and it's.
And totally get that, but like that, the balls, like again, like the kids running, that's allowed. Like that sand kicking up from that is gonna happen. It's just and again, I'm thinking about it, I'm not thinking of the ball going over your head when you're sitting there. I mean, I'm mostly like in Cape Cod at the beach in the summer, so I just picture like what that's like, and like, yeah, it's crowded, it's a crowded beach, like people do beach stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I could say further, I've gotten up and just moved, right? I'm like, okay, now I've gotten up and moved, but if kids do, they set up and then the sand's, you know, you're.
But the sand is gonna fly because they're running around, not because they're throwing a ball.
Yeah,
But
but I've got 4 kids playing that, what's that thing with the net and the bouncy and whatever.
I don't know, I just go back to Jen's point that these are here if there's a problem. The rules are here if there's a problem. And I think the language that it says in this line may result, so that softens it. If we do anything, perhaps you could eliminate the word strictly and you could just say enforced. And that softens it a little bit and you keep it at may. But I think it's just a backup in case there is an incident, so people have protection.
Well, I think a lot of these
It just seems
deal,
reasonable.
a lot of these end up dealing with safety issues
Yeah, for
or
sure. That's
whatever,
just-
because even ball or frisbee playing, if you're not paying attention and someone throws a ball and I get whacked in the head, now that's a safety issue, right? So that's where I think most of these come into play, that are listed here, or.
I don't know, I guess I read this and it's sort of like, we want kids to come and play in our facilities, and it just feels like we're trying to say like, no, don't, because you're gonna bother somebody with sand or whatever else, and that's, I don't know, that's.
I think when you're in the sand, when the sand kicks up, and also you have people of different ages and abilities that are not as steady on the sand, we need to be particularly cautious about running, rowdy, kicking up in the sand, or whatever, to make it enjoyable for folks. You know, it's one thing they're in Cherry Lawn, yes, you expect them to be off on the grass throwing balls or whatever, but I think when you're in a compact, very crowded section of the beach, and our beaches aren't huge, you know, all of a sudden you've got a bunch of teens and they're throwing the ball and kicking up the sand
Have
or
you been
whatever.
to like beaches in like Florida and like other, I mean, that's just what people do.
And I bet
Maybe
a
we
lot
should
of
put this on the
times
list for
I bet a
discussion.
lot of times they have the same rules in place. These are all very
Okay.
typical
Yeah.
rules that you have so that they can be, I mean, again, if there's nobody there, if you were to go now and nobody's there and people are out running around doing stuff, no one's gonna say anything. But if it's a crowded day and there's a whole lot of people, the lifeguards or whatever staff need to be able to go
Say.
over and say, I'm sorry, you can't do that right now, you know, so.
So that's what I was gonna, who enforces it? Actually, the lifeguard?
The lifeguard.
Would be the
Lifeguards.
Yeah,
Really?
lifeguards can do it, the security guard could do it,
Lifeguards,
Put a
the
I can do
16-year-old
it, Jim
kid.
could do
the
it.
staff's down there, Jim's down there quite a bit in the summer with the lifeguards and
They
stuff.
don't want kids with inflatables all the time.
Well, that, inflatables, because it goes in the water.
Inflatables, anytime I've seen an inflatable, they get whistled right away.
That's what I'm saying,
It's-
yeah, that's what I'm saying, the lifeguards are the ones that are enforcing most of this.
Yeah, so I think these, we were just again clarifying, making sure things were clarified, and formatting. All of those. And the second addendum, which is voting. Again, this was really all just formatting. There. Court rules and regulations. So this one, we got into a little bit of G. We wanted to make it clear for group or private, for-profit instruction on any court is prohibited, because we do get people that are trying to give lessons and things that are not part of our program, that are making a profit on town property, which they shouldn't be doing. So that was something that we added in there. And I don't know why we have that blank page. And then we have athletic field scheduling.
Do we think that's going on, by the way, the courts being used for commercial?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they were,
oh, yeah.
I don't know, I know they were at one point, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, people are doing like pickleball things there and.
Yeah.
So then the field scheduling, again, we just tried to be clear about like what groups and the priority. We added in this H was that the group would be responsible for any loss, damage, or injury sustained to any person. And that we could also charge them basically if damage occurs to the property that we need to repair. We added in that in terms of the order, that new Darien-based nonprofit activities and leagues could get in there, and Darien residents, so just to make it clear. Again, a lot of that was just clarifying. And then if we go to the paddle hut, these again we did add in here, trying again to clarify under E, paddle hut rentals, that it could be a Darien resident and Darien-based organizations with no intent to sell, profit, or advertise. So we do get some groups that want to use it for, say, like a team building thing for them, but they're a for-profit company. I think the way it was previously, technically you couldn't go do that because it was a for-profit, company or whatever, or business. But if they're not doing it with the intent to sell anything or make money off of it, they could do it. So that's why we were adding that in. And it's kind of just that same thing being said and how we want the applications to be. We did take out the cancellation policy out of here, because what we're looking to do is just kind of create one single document that'll have cancellation policy, refund policy, that kind of stuff in one spot, rather than having it in here, because that may be something that needs to be able to be changed more easily than going through the whole process of this, as you find out, as things come up with just general daily operations. So that's why that was removed. And I think that was pretty much it in the overview aspect of it.
Okay. So we have 4 items to circle back on and make decisions. The first was fishing.
It seems to me we ought to allow fishing at Cherry Lawn in the pond, assuming the pond is healthy, which it's moving in that direction.
Yeah.
No, I think we should allow it. Why not?
It's a too. There's not big fish, it's not like we're
Are
gonna.
there fish?
It's just gonna be little
There are,
kids, not
they're
gonna
not fish, they're just practicing. They're cute.
Tilly Pond as well?
That's what I mean, Cherry Pond.
No,
So
you
Cherry-
said
you said
Cherry.
Cherry.
Cherry lawn.
Okay, and
Cherry.
Cherry Lawn, yes.
So what about Tilly Pond?
Tilly Pond.
And Tilly Pond,
Okay.
yeah, same.
Yep.
I don't think people who are really fishermen are gonna be going to either one of those locations anyway, it's just gonna be kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't think?
I don't
Cherry
think
lawn.
so.
Nobody's gonna put a boat in.
Nothing-
I'm just gonna drop a boat in for the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Wheat Beach, I noticed that we have a place designated.
Yeah.
Where is that?
Kind of past the paddle hut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, down there, yeah.
Yeah.
down-
Because on Sunday mornings, there are folks who camp out there on the other side, where the gazebo is, on the other side of the gazebo. And they're down there with their kids all out and blowing the rods out, so I don't know, that seems to be a popular area for Sunday mornings.
Nice.
Because I think the document specifically says you're not even supposed to be over there on the rocks.
Yeah, they're not.
There's a small sandy area there, it's not part of the beach, it's on the other side of the rocks where the jetty goes out.
Yeah, I know that's fine.
Yeah.
Weed Beach is at the picnic area off the southwest side of Weed Beach facing the Stanford Cove area. And then fishing is not permitted at Pear Tree.
So are you saying that's a problem? That
I'm
they're
just
there?
saying, it's not a designated area. Are we gonna say this is the designated area?
For fishing, right?
And if the other areas aren't, I don't know,
Right,
they're being used, so is it okay? Just like by the bridge. I mean, by the bridge, a lot of people fish.
right.
Are we gonna say no? Or are we gonna just look the other way? I don't know. I mean, a lot of kids like to fish there. It seems to be a popular area.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
what-
nice to let them fish.
So why don't we just say fishing is permitted in designated areas, and then as future Parks and Recs choose other locations, they can keep putting up signs that say fishing permitted here.
Yeah, or if there, that'll protect us, and then if there's an issue, then we're
Yeah.
covered.
How was that handled in Westport?
I believe we had no fishing.
I think the beach, you have to be
The
really
beach-
careful because people are barefoot.
Yeah, beach, it was definitely not within any swimming areas. I'm trying to think, and I don't have the copy here.
Well, I think it would be really too bad to not let people who congregate and have a really fun time, you know, on these Sundays fishing and tell them they can no longer be there. Wouldn't it be so great if they're not bothering anybody currently? To Ed's point, let people be, but make sure that the rules protect us. Should it become a problem, then we can go back to the rules and say, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to do that. It's not a designated area. And we can determine whether we want it to be or not.
Feels like ponds and bridges are okay, it feels like beaches aren't. That's just my impression. You got a bunch of people out on the beach, just walking on the beach, but around ponds, there's not so much of that. On bridges, there's none of that. I mean, that's where I see kids fishing, they're at one of the ponds or they're on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like this area is really used that much, though.
So how are they accessing? Are they going through, where the swings are? There's like a paved.
Are you talking about Pear Tree?
No,
That's what I was talking about.
No,
we were
weed.
talking about weed.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Pear Tree where those guys are, on the other side.
Oh, you said
Did I
weed.
say
No, I
right?
thought
Oh,
you said weed.
Oh,
I'm
you
sorry,
said,
guys.
yeah, you said.
No, At Pear Tree.
Oh,
Where the
okay.
where the rocks go out by the gazebo.
Oh, yeah, no, that they're
They
not
shouldn't be on
supposed
the
to be
rocks
at all.
outside.
And it says not on the jetty and not at all at
Yeah.
Pear Tree.
I'm sorry. When I said gazebo, I thought we.
Yeah, I thought it was further down.
So yeah,
where
for
nobody was
weed,
going.
for weed, it's all the way back by the tennis courts, and
Yeah,
I've seen
that's-
people put waders on, walk when
Right.
the tide changes into Holly Pond. That's
Yeah,
where-
nobody's swimming back there.
Nobody's swimming back
It's,
there.
it's much too rocky.
Yeah,
But that's okay for them to fish
Yeah.
there. right?
Yeah, that's
that's what
the
I
area.
thought too.
yeah, so that would be weed.
Yeah,
That's
we.
You know, you
we-
said weed, Jim, that's what
I thought you were
confused
talking
me, because there is the rock jetty
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a gazebo and
Okay.
weed by the playground. so
yeah,
that's-
I forgot the hash have
Yeah.
gazebo,
Okay.
weed, but.
Okay, so it's
playground.
okay to weed, but are we not sure about Pear Tree?
Pear Tree should be no.
Pear Tree is no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
because
bridges.
there's
Does
also
that work?
swimming on both
Yeah.
sides there, so that's why you wouldn't do it. So, but you're thinking to allow it Tilly and Cherry?
I would say so.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
And anywhere at Tilly or just the little?
Well, like, both sides of the pond. Oh, yeah, anywhere's fine, I think.
Yeah, the small pond, I mean, on a good day, is 2 feet deep.
I was gonna say, you're
Yeah.
not gonna, I mean, that's really the sediment catch basin anyway. Okay, so we could add.
And you said you'd ask Sandy about it?
I had asked to see if there was a reason, and I asked Jim, like, do we know of any reason why we wouldn't allow it? The only thing that we could come up with was that if people were like casting, that they might hook somebody if they're not paying attention, especially because you're by paths in most of those cases. So,
Yeah, but usually that's for bass or something, and I don't think there's any bass in there.
well, but even if you're just going with I mean, I'm not talking fly fishing, I'm saying,
No.
just a regular fishing
Oh.
rod, you're gonna pull it back
Okay,
and then
yeah, you're right.
put it out, so I think that's the only reason that we could come up with why they would have said no. We can make
Are
that.
they fishing Tilly Pond?
Until, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Another snapping turtle, seen him.
Yeah. There's a large koi. I don't think any of the kids catch any of it. He's just sitting there having a good time.
Yeah.
There's this catch and release, or we're not getting that granular?
No one's gonna keep any of it. I don't think they're gonna be like
They catch it,
this
they can
big.
keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't say it
That's
in
fun.
the other one.
No, I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
Okay, there's.
Right, it's a good question.
I mean, we can add that if you want to just make sure that no one's.
I think we're.
I mean, then it sounds like they're gonna catch something good.
Yeah, I think just allowing fishing, we're all on the same page. I think we can move to the next discussion point.
Sound.
So what about on that one, given how you talked about enforcement, what if it was just may not be plainly audible beyond a distance, blah, 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 and disruptive? Because to me, if it's not disruptive, then we don't care, and then it's allowed. That gives people, that gives our enforcement lifeguards, or whoever it is that's enforcing it, the
I think
ability to
then
make
it
a
turns
judgment
into
call.
subjective of what's
Yeah.
disruptive to me may not be
It
disruptive
is, but
to
it's,
you.
right now it's subjective, because it's plainly audible, and
But-
people hear it differently, it's
But this is
not.
measurable within it's within a measurable distance, which is why that was put in. I will say we took that one from Westport too.
I
But
just,
because we had that issue, so we did it because you're also not gonna have decibel meters and all that kind
right,
of
but if
stuff,
it's
so we didn't
plainly
do it by
audible,
decibel.
but if it's plainly audible, there's like, I can barely hear it, but it's plainly audible versus like, no, this is freaking loud, and it's obviously disruptive. Like, again, because this is not about sound, it's only sound coming from my phone.
You think disruptive is less subjective than audible from
I
20
think,
feet?
I don't like rules that are not being enforced. or
That's a
that are
different
not-
question.
Right,
That's a
right.
different
So
question.
I'm just trying to, I don't think we should have this at all, because we have a noise ordinance. So it's like, I don't even like the fact that we're telling people they can't use a speaker, but they can shout all day long. Like, that to me just, it's like the fact that it comes out of my phone is, I have like a,
Yeah, but I think it also is what kind of music is coming out of your phone. I mean, it's a little different from shouting. I suppose if you,
I could sing it
Would-
and it would be worse, but that would be allowed. I'm just saying, it's like,
Right.
I'm just sort of looking at it
and you
as.
could say that language, there's different language that you
Yeah.
don't want to hear too, but there's different types of music that might be annoying to different types of people.
Yep.
So I think that's where it gets,
And on page 8, under noise and music, it says, "No person shall make noise in any park so as to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or harm."
Which I think is.
And then we added in the sound piece about from something, like a phone or use of a speaker, amplifier, or microphone is limited to group events approved by the department.
So what about putting the?
Because I think
speaker
this
into
this is under picnic areas and use. So the
Okay.
idea being someone sitting there having a picnic with their group of friends, again, I think that's a little bit different than sitting on the
Yeah.
beach even and just kind of relaxing, because that falls under the
Mhm.
picnic areas and use. But
Why couldn't that same wording be applied to across the board? The same, what you just said.
What she read, yeah.
Yeah,
because
it
under,
says it all.
so under the miscellaneous regulations, which has the noise and music, where I said it's just have it in there that one time and take it out from under the
Well,
picnic.
the language that you read, where it was no person shall cause blah,
Right.
blah, blah, I thought that was pretty good language.
So it says, "No person shall
Wherever.
make noise in any park as to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or harm. Sound produced or amplified from any instrument or sound-making device may not be plainly audible beyond a distance of 20 feet from the source of the sound unless otherwise permitted.
Oh, no, I guess
Use of a speaker, amplifier, or microphone is limited to group events approved by the department."
I was just thinking the first sentence.
So that's in a general.
Yeah, but I was just thinking the first sentence without getting out a measuring tape.
Right.
Basically,
And we
that-
added that in because it was so subjective and to give it some.
people do complain about the music on the beach.
I know, yeah, no, I get it. But like, it's a communal space, like it's,
Yeah, I think it's probably just helping the lifeguards out to have some sort of backup.
I thought you said
And
you like
clarity.
guidelines.
Yeah, fair.
I think when we think about these, we have to think about, we have, multiple users and whatever, and as a commission setting a baseline to make the parks enjoyable for the most amount of people, whatever. So you have to kind of say, okay, what are the outliers? Where's the point that, you have a bunch of people who go to the beach of the day and they're gonna say, you know what, this kind of wrecked my day because of this, or whatever. So we really have to think about sort of what, kind of experience we want to create for the public overall by putting sort of the guardrails there. This is how we would like our community members to act and, be responsible, whatever. And you'd like to think that somebody, they come in, they sit down, they see somebody sitting there reading a book, that they're not going to turn on their whatever and blast the music, but some people are more thoughtful than others. So I think it's setting that baseline, that expectation, as a commission that we're trying to do.
Do what we can to slow societal collapse.
Exactly.
And again, having talked to the police chief
It's a
over the
tough
years, I
job.
remember talking to
It's a
Don
lot.
Anderson about this stuff, and he said, you guys have to have it in your rules so that we can enforce it. If it is not there, we can't enforce it.
Right.
The problem with music is that it's not so much the music, it's competing music. So when I've been to beaches, it's when you've got two people, they've got speakers, and they're playing different music, and that competes, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, even out in Ziegler's Cove, the same thing, you can have 4 boats around you and everybody out there blasting their sound systems off their boat, and you're right, you're hearing like different music coming from different boats, and it can be frustrating. Okay, are we settled on this? Yes?
I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, the next was, I think it got down to the pickleball hours. I don't think it was the wording in here per se, but that the commission had a few years ago voted to limit the really starting hours of pickleball in the morning.
And if that's a different issue, then we don't have to talk about it tonight, but because I'm okay with the language that we
Okay.
have in here.
Okay.
But I just think as a practice, it's not enforced at all, which I'm not saying we should enforce it, but it just doesn't make any sense to me that we're limiting it. When we could charge money for it and improve our deficit.
Amy might have a different view on that, but if we want to take that up at a different.
Yeah, I think talking about, I think you're right. I think this kind of covers what we need to do, and that's like a separate conversation. Whether we enforce hours or not, or whether, I don't know if there's a neighbor that's gonna move in and decide that it's just too noisy for them.
Well, it's happened. It's I don't think I think all that would happen if we change the rule is we would have more revenue in our budget. That's, I think, the only thing that would happen. Because people are there now.
I think we're right with
Yeah, but with this
these are
agreement-
fine.
Yeah.
That's like a whole other thing.
If we're in agreement right now, we should move to the next
Yeah.
talking
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
There isn't
Okay.
it?
It was just whether the food truck should be required to have paperwork filed with the office so that we know who's in the parks and selling, and I think make sure that they're not
So you think we should,
overrun.
the feeling is they should be allowed, just that, because this was saying not at all. So we're saying they should be,
The way it's written, it says they can be there as long as they get approval.
that was if it was our event, I believe. It was,
I thought you said as long as they got
It's a good
approval.
permission.
Yeah, as long as you have approval,
And then,
we're not gonna be
so we said
charging
if we,
additional fees.
if
are
we say get a permit, mobile food vending, food trucks, carts is prohibited in all town parks and recreation areas except when specifically authorized by the Parks and Recreation Department as a part of a permitted private event, group reservation, or department-sponsored event, and must comply with all health, safety, and insurance requirements.
So as it reads right now, it wouldn't be legal for
wouldn't be
Mr.
a-
Softated to pull
Right.
in. So, is anyone against Mr. Softy or any of these food trucks pulling in? If not, then,
I'm
And I
actually
think we just-
violently in favor.
okay, I think everyone's in favor of it, so we've already crossed that.
So we want to allow them, but just have them get a permit
So the question
from
would be,
the department so
what's
that
that-
we have insurance.
What's best practice for you
Oh.
guys, I think would be what we would all agree to.
Or if there are town rules around it, to Lori's point, could we just carve out a lane for those? Like, as long as he's, if it's transient and he's moving and he's not hanging out there all day,
So-
which is, it sounds like what the town.
I know what Laura's
regs
talking about,
do.
it was like the 3-3-3 rule, like you're
Yeah.
allowed there, I think it was like, you could only come every 3 hours.
3 hours
You could
is-
stay for 30 minutes and then
Something like
you
that,
couldn't come
yeah.
back for another 3 days
But
or something, I think it
I
was.
think it also says something about on a street,
That's.
and our stuff
yeah.
aren't streets, ours are really like parking lots or access roads. So we can take a look at it and see, maybe it's a way we just reference that rule.
Well, I think you could have guidelines
Or-
when you, if they
or
show
we
up
just take that-
to register and you say, hey, just so you know, like, don't post up in Cherry Lawn for 12 hours.
Right.
You know, whatever the guidelines are, again, that best practices
Yeah.
dictate, we go ahead and use and move forward.
The thing, this is an absolute, it's not broken, we don't need, like, he
Yeah.
is behaving exactly the way he should behave and has been for years. Like, there's not a real issue here. What I prefer us not to do is cross over into some additional bureaucracy where the guy's got a permit. Like, I don't think I wanna cross that line.
Yeah, I would
Like,
say.
it's,
Yeah, I would say I think if there's any question whatsoever, it would be what Jim raised, which is, do we want food trucks competing on Weed Beach?
and that's
They
one where.
can't be at Weed because
Okay.
we have a
But- but we
contract.
don't- but we don't even address
The
it.
rule is
Yeah.
written perfectly for that,
Yeah.
nor is that a problem.
Yeah.
But the rules shouldn't be written based on the behavior of one person, the rules should just be general, because say Mr. Softy doesn't come back this year and some other guy's coming, it's like a disaster.
Correct,
You know,
so,
we've got nothing, and again, you don't want, or you might not want, four different ones there, or, right, and we have to definitely control and protect our vendor at Weed Beach. Or there may be other locations where we just feel it's too, I don't know.
so we either carve
Or
out a
maybe even
lane,
McGuan too, because there's a snack bar at McGuan.
That's
Right.
true.
So I think at least the office knowing about it and giving approval.
and he doesn't come and go.
But again, it could be anybody else
Or it could be a
that we
lot,
don't know of.
could be a lot of people.
Right.
So the question is,
And make sure they have the insurances and everything they need, again, because then they're selling on our property, and God forbid there's an accident or something.
Right. I think part of it was the concern in the department was also, they set up and then the kids are running through the parking, like, so from a safety standpoint, it was a little scary. I think that was part of trying to think that.
And then you could have said like where, if they
You-
know
you
you're
could
an
say it's
expert, you
gotta
could say
be
you have to be in this
location or
particular
something.
spot.
So why don't we say rules,
So,
it's allowed in certain areas, but you have to get permission and then permission from Parks and
and we'll
Rec.
say yes.
The
and-
department.
Yeah, the Parks and Rec, I didn't want to say Park and Rec.
no.
So Parks and Rec Department
It's-
would have guidelines that you could then, and you can change those as needed.
Right,
I think that's the way to go.
yeah, because it's an
Perfect.
operational matter.
Like,
Yep.
And I would, it's your call, but I suggest we tell him to just keep doing what he's doing, and he's fine.
Yeah.
Does he go anywhere except for Cherry Lawn? I don't think he does.
Oh, God, he's all over the place.
Well, no, parks, I mean,
Or Pantry Beach.
Pantry.
He goes to
he goes to
Yeah.
Pear Tree.
A lot, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think he tries to go to Weed, like if he thinks the snack bar is not open or something, especially like when the snack bar used to close by dinner time, I think he would go down in the late afternoon or evening once the
I don't
snack
think
bar was
there's room at
closed.
Baker.
No, he doesn't go paper, he doesn't go anywhere near the baseball
Yeah.
and stuff.
Okay.
The place he does camp out is the high school, but, yeah.
Okay, so that was it on the rules. All right, took us a bit, but
I do want to know, Jen, I think you did a really good job.
Thank
Thank you for
I will-
tackling this.
I have to give,
Right.
I have to give the main credit to Tamara. She,
Well, it
She
was
went
very
through it.
thorough, I thought it read
Very.
very nicely, and so thank you very much for spending time.
Yeah,
Thank
so-
her for us.
she will hear it on the, when she does the
yeah.
minutes.
And she's also done a really nice job as she's performing all of her duties, because she's one of our real public-facing people who's dealing with issuing the permits and all these. So
Yeah.
as questions come up, she's really good about going to the rules and saying, oh, the rules aren't really clear about this. And she's been documenting that so
Right.
that,
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we had like a running email just back and forth when we thought of something or something came up. we should look at this, we should address this.
Put it in
And we'll
this, yeah.
continue to do it, because this is, it's really
It's a live
a
document.
somewhat of a
yeah.
live document, yeah.
Right. Well, tell her we said thanks.
I
So
certainly
it was, you know, we took a stab at this a couple of years ago.
We did, and
it
we
was
did a lot.
arduous, and it was, yeah, we had a lot of work, and she's really cleaned it up with her.
Yeah, even more, so you can say when you think about how much time we spend updating and cleaning it up from where it was.
Yeah,
And yet, still, you know, fresh eyes
Better
look
and
at
better
things.
every time. Yeah.
Okay, budget. Operating first.
So,
Can I ask a general question, just because I'm new? But so in general, like, are we trying to kind of be steady state and have revenue match expenses, or no, that never happens? And I realize this precedes you too, so it's maybe more a Lori's question.
kind of goes to what I wanted to
Oh,
do.
sorry.
No.
I just wasn't sure how to, like, look at the
No, when we were
budget,
trying to do
like-
our kind of financial sustainability thing that didn't get approved, would kind of have addressed all of that and kind of what the philosophy would be and what we want to do. So, you know, I think in terms of certainly our programs and things, we look to try to make those, most of what we do is in a, is a contractual thing, so we take a percentage, so we won't lose money from those. However, that doesn't take into account all the overhead and the staff time and all that, doing that. So, you know, I think we try to look at, on the programming side, to be pretty self-sustaining, but you're never gonna cover the whole thing,
Right.
because you're not gonna get the money for,
Mhm.
say, all the parks side, right? So it's kind of how do we even that out?
Yeah, and so, but again, like, so has,
So we don't have a set percentage, if that's what you're.
yeah, but I was kind of like, because you've been on this commission for like a long time, and I guess I'm just sort of wondering, have we tended to, like, when I looked at Board of Ed budgets, you know, they would come back to, well, what are the other districts doing, cost inflation in general. I'm just wondering, without me going back and looking at like 10 years of history, have we generally tried to stick towards inflation growth, or it's just kind of, or not, have nothing to do with. In other words, I'm looking at this budget saying, well, is our expenses too high, is our revenue not high enough, what's the expectation? And I guess I'm kind of asking you, because you've been here like a long time, so what have we generally done?
Well, our mission has never been to generate enough revenue to cover all of the costs of.
Understand, no, I understand
Parks.
that, yeah, no, I understand that.
So in terms of operating the park, I think it's much been more, you know, kind of outside of capital projects, we're like, okay, this needs to be fixed. Our budgets are very much, and Amy, you've been around as long as I have, been much, you know, steady state, like what do we need to continue to maintain the parks?
Okay.
You know, we
So steady state
really,
maintenance, if it
very
costs
infrequently.
20% more, it costs 20% more, but
Yeah.
it's, the focus is steady state.
very infrequently add to staff.
Okay, thank you.
I can't remember what a maintenance person is.
Yeah, no, helpful, that's
Right.
super, thank you.
So, one of the things, and this gets kind of screwy, so you kind of can't really look at the percentage of change in a lot of this. As we said, we're kind of merging the Youth Services Department and Parks and Recreation. Some of these, it was really screwy, so we had to take some of the numbers for the past history and put those in, otherwise it really threw things off. And then there are others where I didn't carry, like it wasn't carried through historically. So just say, I think it was like printing. Under youth services, they had like, there was like $1,500 in there. Well, when you look at the historical stuff, okay, we could do it for 1,000. So I added in 1,000 to take combined from that budget, but when you look back in the previous years, it's only the Parks and Rec. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't add in, so when you look at the actuals or whatever, that's not gonna be apples to apples, so that's why some of this stuff is gonna look really screwy.
Is there
Because there's a
any,
story behind things.
Or you just didn't go back and adjust the historical. to
We
combine
didn't,
the two.
right, we didn't combine historical for everything with youth services and Parks and Rec.
Is there any increase in FTEs?
Yes, so, and I'll get to that
Okay.
when I go in, not town-wide, but for our department, yes.
Oh, because of the reallocation.
Because, right, so we took the full-time position from youth services
Yep.
is coming under
Which is
Parks and
fine,
Rec.
And
other
hadn't you
than
been
that-
sharing another
But-
person that was part-time at each?
Yes, so you'll see that in the line because one of the part-time front office staff, one was billed to youth services, one was billed to us. So now both are billed to
But
us.
other than that, we're not.
So, no.
Yeah, okay.
So again, it's the same number of heads
Mhm.
town-wide, but we're getting, if you look at us, we're technically an extra 1.5 people.
Okay.
So if we're just looking at the revenue part, which is up top, again, we're basing stuff on our numbers and our actuals. You'll see paddle court, we did make a drop in that just based on, we're seeing it continue to drop down since the peak during COVID. So we're just getting more realistic, things are settling back down. Because that like skyrocketed during COVID time, because that was like the only thing you could do. You'll see, that was the 19,000. You see the jump of the Parks and Rec fees for camp, that's something that's new. So that 435, but that's where we did pull across numbers from youth services, because otherwise it was really messed up. So that's a new line for us. Rent is down $11,000. That's because we no longer have, the art center is no longer using space in Mather, which was through us. And also we,
Downstairs?
downstairs, oh, yeah, it's over here. Yeah, it's not Mather. There was, whatever it is, their space, they moved out.
So
they're no
underneath the
longer-
stairs?
They're no
When
longer
you
using
drive in the
that.
back.
Where the
it's
dance
under-
studio used to
yeah,
be.
Yeah,
exactly.
so
they don't use
they
that at
have
all
some
anymore?
space, they used they had additional space, so they're no longer doing that. So we lose that revenue, and then we no longer have, last year we put out an RFP, the kayak and paddle rentals. We weren't able to get anybody. We did try to get somebody, we talked to somebody this year. It's not gonna work with what they need. So we may still try to figure something out, but we took that out. So, and we weren't getting that much from them, that was only a few $1,000s. The increase in the park facility permits, those are up, that's mostly with our change in permit fees and the youth sports groups.
So youth sports is in that number?
Yes, yep. And then,
And were there more like individual, like is that a jump you would have predicted based on fees, or was there just more stuff? That almost doubled?
the number that we're proposing for 27?
No, the jump from 24 to 25, that it almost doubled park facility permits. I'm just wondering if did that happen, or is that,
I
like,
think that
was there more,
was-
like, did more people come to us and want to use our facilities, or was that just a fee increase?
I'm not sure what that was, because that would have been between, I think right before I was here in 25. I think,
Because I don't think that, like, the youth sports fees didn't hit yet, right?
It was this year.
It was this year? Okay, so that probably is
the
it.
doubling starts now in fiscal year 26.
Yeah.
So I have to double check what that is. I can look it up.
Because then it goes up considerably for 27 as well.
Well, so 24,
Well, that's,
25 was a lot.
that's when we go up the extra,
Right, but that's
the
when-
next $5.
That's because I thought that the big fee increase was this year, so I'm just wondering what
No, it's phased.
caused that to double?
Yeah, it was
in-
phased. So it was
Yeah, okay.
first part of the fall this year, and then next part for full year next year.
And I was also wondering if it's related at all to, when you look at organized recreation events expenses, the second line, seasonal and temporary, that number also almost doubled.
No, I'll
Is that different?
I'll tell
Okay.
you that, that's
Oh, we can-
completely separate.
Got it, okay.
But I'll double check what that permit
Cool.
fee is for you. And then,
If that takes you more than 2 minutes, don't bother.
no,
I
it
was just
shouldn't, it
wondering
shouldn't,
why.
but,
Yeah, okay.
the, and then the transfer for the rec programs, we did drop that about 9,000 because we're seeing this past year where we are a little bit lower in our revenue, not sure why. Although, and I can get to this later, but I am hopefully encouraged that we'll also see some more happening with new staff. You know, we'll be having two new people, and part of this other person will also be other programming and events that we didn't have before. So we have another body to help do some stuff. And now with the opening up of the extra space that the art center isn't using, we have a little bit more space that maybe we can do some more programming. So
There's nice
that's,
space down there.
yeah, so that's kind of our intent to do that.
Sorry, Jen, what
Yep.
are the kinds of things that are in that last one, op transfer and rec programs?
So that's basically all of our, there's a whole separate account. That is all of our all of our typical programs, tennis lessons, yoga, all that kind of stuff. So it's in a separate thing. We have our revenue and our expenses. Typically, we pay out 80%. We keep 20. That's the 20 that gets transferred then into
Got it.
the general
So
fund.
basically, programs that aren't camps, basically, is kind of what's in there.
Yeah.
Got it, okay. Thank you.
And again, the reason we're combining things, what they wanted to do was, instead of creating, like we have admin expenses, beach and court and everything, we didn't want to create a whole new section just for camp. So that's why you'll see those get added in under the organized recreation.
This seems a lot more streamlined than I remember a few years ago. Remember, it went on for pages and pages and pages, and I think Jen's really worked to,
Hopefully.
Both
it's-
bigger buckets.
both Jens
Makes it
actually,
kind
to
of
really
clean.
streamline things down.
So under admin expenses, again, this is where you're gonna see, like, the full-time salary bumps up. Again, that's that new position coming in to our department, as well as then, you know, regular increases. The part-time salary, you see it basically doubles. That's because that part-time person is coming over from youth services and getting added in here.
Excuse me, how many full-time people do you have on your staff?
You're talking admin or?
Admin is
Just the whole
5, admin is 5, and there's 7 in parks. And
Right,
then, and then we have
yeah.
2 part-time.
Okay, so you have 13 full-time people. Right, okay.
But these full-time people do not include the parks, they're in a different line. I'll get to that. They're under.
This is the
they're un-
office.
This is just the office, so the recreation side, not the park side.
Oh, okay.
Although it does include Sandy.
So how many people are on in this one?
So this is myself, Jim, Tamara, Sandy, and then the 2 other.
Okay, so you have
positions.
4
So six.
full-time and
So
2
there's-
part-time.
So there's 6 full-time
Oh,
that are
6.
in that full-time salary.
Okay, okay.
The seasonal and temporary salary, again, that's just an increase, that's like our seasonal person that we get each summer. Travel is up because, again, we have an additional person now, so, and that was also covered under youth services, so we've added to that. Conferences and meetings, again, that was increased, because again, we're now having an additional person. Training services stayed the same, clerical services, we're just looking back at that's like the minutes and things like that, so that, so far we've been lower, so we reduced it by a few $100s there. I think we're fine with that. Dues and professional license, again, that's up because additional person. Printing, as I mentioned, I pulled over $1,000 from youth services, and the reason why it wasn't in there before was last year, you may recall, we had it, printing was under beach and court and organized recreation, and we pulled it all together, said it's really an administrative function, so we should combine those, so that's why there's no historical for fiscal year 24 and 25. The software maintenance and support, that's our ActiveNet registration software, so it's our contractual increase. But then we've also added in, what we'd like to do is add in another module. It's a membership module, and basically what it does, it will allow us on the beach emblems to print the license plate, so that you have a corresponding, so you can
Nice.
check and
Nice.
you know that it actually
Easy.
matches to the
Yeah, it helps the
vehicle,
guards.
to the car.
Yeah.
And it helps with people not being able to steal, move them around, do any of that. So that's, again, I stole that from Westport. But that's what we did there as well, and I think it helps, and it's a way that we can keep track.
And you charge some of that back to the people who are registering, right, as a processing fee, or is that just built in?
Well, it would be built in. I think that's something that, again, we would look at if we want to raise the fees, you know, again, looking at what are our costs in those areas, and we can add, that should be a one-time fee, and then once we have it, then the permits will be the permits. I think it's 4,800 one time, and then we should be good. And then office supplies, again, just added in what was over in youth services to that line. So then you get to beach and court facilities. Changes here.
Keep scrolling down.
Oh, sorry, thank you, I forgot. I'm not used to having this up.
It's nice.
So for this, again, these are really just the part-time and the beach and court seasonal and temp help. That's all just like lifeguards or paddle court attendants and things. So those are just, you know, again, minimum wage goes up every year, so all of our rates get bumped up. The other stuff is staying pretty much the same. Security services, that's based on the increased rates that we will have, which of course their rates are going up because minimum wage goes up, just like ours. And then the facility maintenance materials, we took out $9,000, and basically the money is still in there. We just merged that with the fields, grounds, fields, and buildings line, because it makes more sense to combine them, and we're always looking at that as a whole versus trying to figure out, which one is for the beach or a court or whatever. So that was one of the things we were looking to do last year, and we held off. We're asked to wait until this year. So under recreation facilities maintenance expenses, so this is kind of the park side, the full-time salary. So that's all of our parks guys, with the exception of Sandy, who was in the admin piece. Again, so those are contractual increases. That's also the seasonal and temp salary. Those are the two seasonals that we get each year to help out. And again, it's because of minimum wage, those go up. Overtime, again, is contractual. We did add in some extra hours for watering. We know with Pear Tree, we're gonna have a significant number of additional new trees and things being put in. So we anticipate there may be a need for some additional hours to make sure that those keep getting watered, and so they don't die. So we have those, and we've also been working on some of the traffic islands and things like that. So we anticipate there could be some additional hours, so that's why that was added. Motorized equipment repair maintenance, we kept that money. It's down 2,000, but we added that into that equipment maintenance, parts and supply. Basically, that first line is more of if we send equipment out to get repaired, but we're doing more of that in-house, so it's really more parts and supplies, so that's why we moved that down. And then there's, again, based on more of our actual, clearly we were under budget, so we bumped that up. Under organized recreation and events, so here are our part-time salary. One of the things with this too is when we had events, under that program expenses events, we had kind of all the money that would be tied to when we do our things like Old Fashioned or the luau, all of those. So with our new finance director, what we were talking about is we really should be charging them to the proper lines. So that money has been taken kind of out of the events expense line, and we divvied it up under part-time salaries and seasonal and temp salaries. So that's part of those numbers.
Sorry, Lori, I've got to run, but I just want to say I like the budget.
Thank you. The seasonal and temp line, that is for camp. So the majority of that is camp. There's a small amount that is for the events, like I was just mentioning, but most of that is camp related. And it is higher, putting in for looking at how we would better organize or kind of restructure the camp situation. We added in some paras if there are people that have needs, special needs or anything like that, we are required to cover the cost and pay for the assistance that they need, and I think I put in for a nurse and a few other things and some floaters. So those are also incorporated in there. And that we did take the number, those past numbers are just from the seasonal, the camp numbers that they had. Mailing and shipping, we just know postage is going to go up. So also under that program expenses events, that does go up. We have our events, but then I also took some funds from youth services and added it in there because there were some funds in there for different events that were done through that department. So we'll be taking over some of those. And then trying to add new things as well. Then you see the program expenses camps, that's our new number based on, those are basically all camp supplies. We did take what was in there from the past. That's a new line. And then our operating supplies, we kept the same as last year. Grounds, fields, and buildings.
Can you scroll up?
Oh, sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
So on this one, groundskeeping services, we do have in there. We have in there the money for the dunes, and we were extending over to the side by the playground. We wanted to extend past the playground.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So
those
we
goes
put in
with
for
it.
that, it's also kind of our beautification line, so we have the funds in there again so that we
Right.
can do those.
So that would do the rest of the remaining dues that we,
It would do the dunes, and we were able to drop it because we don't believe we're gonna have to pull and buy all new material to replant, which we had in for this year. So we think it just through the weeding process and
Okay.
maintaining it that we'll be okay with
that's right,
that.
this is
What about the
next
invasives
year.
at Cherry?
I'm sorry?
What about the invasives in Cherry? Does that fall into this?
That's in another line.
Okay.
So that's that line. Pest control, that's our geese relief, the dogs. Our facility repair and maintenance, again, that's kind of more just a cost of living kind of things that we see.
can't
Tree-
believe how low the tree maintenance is.
I know, and we're looking at that as probably 32,000 going towards tree maintenance and removal. I mean, we could use more probably, we're pretty close this year already, and we haven't even had our big
I'm
storms.
sure.
And then we were figuring about 7,000, I think I did, for park, you know, how we're doing like a park specific. This year we're gonna be working on Tilly. And I think we were looking at Baker for this budget year. Our ideas for that. Again, our facility repair, again, it's just looking at our typical costs. Telecommunications, we just kind of based it on what our actual costs would be and what we've had, so we were able to drop that slightly. Electricity, again, kind of based on our past usage, same with water. Our sewer use charges have gone up quite a bit. And we included a 5% increase on those.
Yeah, those have gone up for everybody.
Yeah, and then we put in ADA compliance. So what we did, and I'll get into this a little bit more with capital, is, so what we put in $15,000 here, and these would be some smaller things that our staff would be able to go ahead and do and tick off the list. A lot of it's like signage and parking lots, things like that. And I'll explain the rest under capital. Because it's more of a capital issue. And then again, I guess just heating fuel, we kind of base that on our actuals and our facility maintenance materials.
Jen,
So, yep.
can we put in a lot or something
Oh.
to test the water at both Tilly and Cherry Lawn on an annual basis, so we know where we stand?
Yeah, that would be under our, and I'll double check to make sure I get a good
It's
cost
somewhere.
of that.
Yeah.
But you should be able to cover, but I'll, and you had said that, and I did make a note, and I forgot to add that in, but yes.
This is just on grounds, it's not part of your budget particularly, but I did speak with the garden club regarding Tilly Pond and those, did they contact you? And the foundation plantings around the gazebo at Tilly Pond?
We did, I met with,
They were gonna get on it.
Yes,
There
we
was a
met-
little confusion of who was responsible for what.
yeah, and we met with two women, and then there was another conversation that was gonna
Good.
happen, there was gonna be another meeting or
Good,
something, so
good.
we're working on that.
Good.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah,
'Cause
no,
there
no, no,
was-
they were,
Yeah, they were confused, they were like, well, we're new,
yeah,
and
they
then
had like a
people,
little
and
wrinkle there and,
as
yeah.
it turns over. so-
Gretchen Witchy, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
Sandy
they'll
and I
get on
met.
it and they'll take it.
Yeah, Sandy and I
They're
met with
very
them.
dedicated people,
Yeah.
doing good work.
So I think that's operating, if you have any questions for that.
That's good, thank you.
Good work, there's a lot of work here.
So then, we go to capital.
It's a big line item.
So, the way I will explain this.
Well, the big one is pear tree, right?
Yeah, so parachute, but that's
That's
this
this
budget
year.
year, so that's not
Okay.
really an issue. So,
Okay.
what we're really looking at is, for Cherry, really it's more of a circulation and access study and conceptual design. So, and some of these numbers I do, and you'll see there are question marks because I'm waiting on some numbers. in talking this over with Jen, what we were saying is, when you look at all of the items that need to be addressed for ADA, so much of this, one thing leads into the next, and they're all tied together. McGuan is an excellent example of it. So if you try to fix the parking lot, like we're trying to get a number, so maybe we can just do some patching for right now to make the handicap spaces proper. I mean, the whole thing is on a slope. You can't have a side slope of more than 2.08%. So, like, clearly this has to be designed. And then the other parts, some other parts of the comments were that it needs to be the closest accessible route. So you have them on the opposite side of the property, right? You've got the building over here, but the parking is over here, and the traffic is going through the middle. So, and then when you get to every other piece of it, the deck is not properly sloped, the other things aren't, other walkway, nothing is, is correct. So what we said was, what I think we need to do is kind of pull them into one project and do it as a capital thing and maybe hit one park at a time. So 1 year we would do like design and bid specs, because all this stuff is going to be far beyond what we can do, and they're going to be large. I mean, we did get a price for just to pave that McGuan, and it's like $275,000. So we know they're going to be big ticket items, but while we're doing one thing, it's going to affect something else, so we really need to look at the whole thing. So that's why if you look at these, we've got, you'll see there's like the question mark for design and construction documents, like if you just look at Cherry Lawn. So we were saying if we look at the circulation and access say, so we know all the different pieces from the ADA report, and how do those tie into the rest of the circulation piece, get the conceptual design from that. The following year we would do design and contract documents, or construction documents, so they can be bid out. And then the year after that becomes the actual construction. So then we alternated, and we were trying to do, when one is being constructed, the next one is being planned. So that's why you see that in there. So that's kind of what we were looking at.
And how did you prioritize, like which park first?
Well, we know Cherry, I mean, we've been talking about Cherry Lawn, trying to get that one done, so we figured that one should happen. I then put McGuan next, because there is a lot of usage there, and there's also, we have the Challenger Field, we know the lot. I did put Weed further down, and then I did Holohan was next, because there's no access really on these fields, and you know, so none of our fields have access. And I put Weed later on, because although there's a lot of things there, some of them aren't, while there's a lot of items, some of them are smaller in scope. And I think I did put in the playground. If we redo the playground, that addresses a number of the ADA issues that were found at Weed as well, because that was a whole host of them. And we know that one, based on our inspections and things, we need to kind of get that on the list to replace that.
Do we think that's the right number?
What was the outcome of the telephone call that you were going to make to the people who said everything is ADA and then in fact it wasn't?
I haven't had a chance to make that call yet. Sorry, the one for Cherry, yeah. I pulled some of the documents and found a couple things, because they should also be doing some stuff on McGuan, because I needed to go through the actual reports. So I've gone through those to see, so I can go back to them and say, these are the exact pieces that are not compliant. So that still has to be done.
So sorry, just on Weed Beach for
Yes.
the placeholder we have for 27, 28 replacing playground,
Yes.
I feel like that number's very low.
I mean, that's just a placeholder
Yeah, I know.
for right now.
Yeah. The planning has to start.
Where is that, what's the number?
The 300,
Replace playground. over Weed Beach,
300.
300.
Right.
I mean,
It's probably low.
It's very low.
yeah, I'm sure it's low. I mean, I can bump that up.
Yeah.
It's probably more like 5.
I was gonna say Cherry Lawn was 5. And I don't know if this one's gonna have water features, or God only knows what else people are gonna want, so,
Right. I mean, I can change that one to 5.
yeah.
So just going back to the circulation access
Yep.
study for Cherry Lawn, that's still a controversial issue. So I think we need to get some resolution on that and whether we're actually moving forward to that, to put that in the budget.
Right. Well, it was said for me to go ahead and put that in, you know, and you really, because again, it goes back to having to create the whole, you have to look at it, the whole thing, because you don't want to do something with the parking lot or the roadway access without knowing where are we putting the access points into the various, to the tennis courts or the pickleball court. Like, you've got to look at the whole, the thing all together.
Sure, I understand that.
So that's why, and it had been said to me at various times to put this back in and to try it. I mean, we'll have to do some more work with it, but that was sort of that was the last conversation that I recall having, but.
Yeah, no, I know that you've had that conversation. On the other side, we've definitely had the conversation where people are really against doing yet another study and spending money. There's just not a lot of appetite for that.
Right, but I think that's why it's also like more of a conceptual design, but to do the design, you need to look at the flow patterns. So
Yeah, I
it's
get that. I get that. I think we're saying the same thing, but we're coming at it from opposite sides. And I think that there's controversy about actually doing that. So that's gonna be a rough, that'll be a rough road. I get that you want to put that in there, and, you know, it's a sizable figure.
Yep.
So I think there are alternative ways to look at that and get that number down. So, yeah, I mean, I heard it loud and clear from Board of Finance, and, I mean, just even on our walk, that was very controversial amongst our commission members. Some were very vocal positively. I mean, of course,
Well, I think-
you were supportive of it, but there are other people who are definitely not. So,
I think it's two issues, right? So if our plan to fix access doesn't get past, well, there's we've been wrestling with a traffic problem and dealing with the fact that we don't have the data for as long, from every minute that I've been here, and I think I'm the rookie among us. So like, any study has to have that for me. Like, because we're not gonna be permitted to do anything if, you know, Board of Finance is gonna talk about our invasives and stop us from doing, you know, like, we gotta take all that together and not put the cart before the horse. But to me, if the argument is gonna be, well, we gotta fix traffic first and foremost, any study has to include, like, identifying what the real problems are with
yeah, I think you're really right.
That's my view.
I think there is an issue there. I think that the problem is whether we do a study or not. I think we're all so familiar with the issues that the question of whether we need an actual, whether we need to hire people to actually tell us what the issues are that we already know is the controversy.
I'm not at all sure we're agreed on what the issues are.
I'm not saying that we are in agreement. We understand what the issues are, not that I think that somebody's issues are the same, or that I agree with their particular issue. We all know that there are issues, and we know whether, we may not agree with all those issues, but we know that there are issues. So I agree with you in not agreeing on the specific issues,
Yeah.
if you can follow my line of thinking.
Yeah.
I think Because there is an understanding and there's not, I heard loud and clear there wasn't an appetite for actually commissioning a study and paying for a study. When we understand that, I would be in favor of having some sort of committee or separate group to actually look at the traffic and find an answer in that regard.
I think we
I
need
mean-
professionals, Amy.
So I know you do. I actually, just anecdotally, went with I know that as a commission, we're not in favor of people going off the reservation and hiring their own people to get feedback. But I did have my paving guy over, and he actually is a guy who's been approved by the town and has done work for the town as well, so that kind of worked. And I just brought him over to take a look at what was going on, and we looked at the parking lot outside right in front of the baseball field, and he said, look, you could very simply expand it and get a line right down the center, and you get 12 more parking spots, and put in lines, and that would give you more parking. So there, and that's
If there's
just
common
the
sense-
cost of, and that's just anecdotal. But I don't think we've gone in, I think we're just automatically saying, oh, well, let's get another study and we'll hire professionals. I mean, it's not super complicated to understand.
I'm going to disagree. And I specifically spoke to Jeremy Ginsburg after you told me that you had had this conversation. And for anything we do in the park, we have to go P&Z. And he said, basically, without all of the supporting and the drawings and everything, we would be dead in the water with P&Z. We wouldn't even, we cannot go in front of P&Z for approval based on Terry and Amy and Lori's thinking, oh, we can, it just,
I get
we're
that.
not going to get there. And then you have the overlay of the ADA study, which was very comprehensive and would put out in very great detail in black and white that Cherry Lawn in particular has effectively no accommodations.
I'm not
So we
saying
have
that
to,
any
we
of
have
those
to put
things.
all of that together.
Let me put that in a positive. I think all of those things are reasonable. I completely understand Jeremy. I completely understand the ADA. I'm saying I heard there's not an appetite for yet another study on another park. So I'm saying this is going to be bumpy. It is what it is. You want to put it in. You've been told by somebody to put it in. I don't know who told you that, because I certainly heard something different from the Board of Finance. But it's there, and you want to keep it in. So I wish Ed was still here, because Ed had a pile to say about this. And I know there are other members of the commission who have a lot to say, and there are people who have other points of view too. So, put it in, let's see where we go. But I'm just saying.
I have kind of I kind of agree with everybody, but to me, it's the sequence, I guess, is the point, which is, I absolutely agree we need a broad-based plan that's beyond our facilities to plan the place. But, I learned a lot on this whole Weed Beach thing, particularly as it relates to both personal opinions and how Board of Finance is operating at the moment.
Right.
So, to me, if there's a common sense solution that alleviates a traffic problem, I'm all for it. I've never seen a common sense solution to traffic ever.
But Lori's saying even if there is a common sense approach, that Jeremy Ginsburg is not going to be interested in that unless we do a study.
Right, so it
I
sounds
didn't
to.
say a study,
no,
but we have to hire the professionals who say, how did you get to this number? How did you say you need this many parking
That's a
spaces
study.
versus that?
That's a study.
How do you engineer, how do you do the drainage?
Yeah, no,
It's just not us saying,
definitely
gee,
a
I got
study.
the guy who
So it's
does my
hiring
driveway and
somebody
says
to
I can
actually
this.
do a study.
So I agree with all those things, but I think both of those, so common sense parking is dead in the water, and to me, doing a giant planning exercise when we still can't agree on what the real peak times in terms of traffic flow and problem, like any study that doesn't include that, I can't get behind at this point, because we can't even agree that, no, soccer pickup's the problem, no, the playground is the problem, like we can't even agree on what the parking problem, so like what I would say is we should do a really focused, traffic study first and nothing else. No park planning, no designing, no renovations, no anything else. traffic, period, because that's anytime we want to do anything pickleball, we want to do anything else, the people come and object on the basis of traffic. And that, you know, and
Okay, so
That-
if
that's
we
my view.
just did a traffic study that isn't, you know, there's $80,000, I mean, a traffic study is not gonna cost $80,000.
Well, it's 60, but.
I don't know, but
60,
Is-
thank you.
so if that's gonna
Thank
give
you.
us traffic,
I need
I'm
my
supportive.
binoculars.
But what we had in there, again, it was looking at that, and then it was looking at how, again, it's circulation, not just traffic. So it's how do you get people from this parking lot to the pickleball courts safely, or to the tennis courts safely? So it would
Totally.
give you all of that as well. So it's more than just traffic counts.
I feel like we keep moving around this. I think the majority is in favor that we keep the 60K in for the request for next year. I think that's it. Can we move on?
Huh. Okay. What do you think? I mean, Ed's not here. I know he's got a pile to say.
I'm not sure. I know where you're coming from. The ADA piece of it kind of adds
Yeah, that's another
something that
lens.
we really haven't spent too much time talking about. There are a lot of issues. Lack of sidewalks, talking about.
That's part of circulation.
That's
Yeah,
circulation,
yeah.
yep.
Where do the sidewalks go?
It's dangerous, it really is. I mean, you've got people with strollers in the middle of a road, and, you know, it's crazy.
I know, it is crazy.
I guess I would like to know specifically what you're gonna do with the 60,000, what you expect to get out of it, exactly, precisely.
And how'd you come up with 60?
Going off of the proposal that I got the last time, and I do have to reach back out to them to see, you know, adding in the ADA piece of it, because we would end up not just with a study that's sitting on a table, but we would get the conceptual plan, so we have then kind of the design with it, so that then technical design and documents can be put together so you can bid it out. Right, so we would end up saying, it would show us, this is where the parking lot's gonna go, this is the number of spaces we would wanna have, this is how it's gonna connect with this sidewalk, this walkway is gonna go here. So it would lay all of that out, so you would have, you know, it's not just a number of counts, but it would have that whole thing to get you to the next piece as well.
As long as we don't hear, yeah, but what about the traffic, as long as that's in there, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because we, you know, tried to line one pickleball court and the objection was parking. So, you know, that's all I'm saying.
You mean on the tennis?
Yes.
But that wasn't exactly, no, we've just resurfaced the tennis courts, and so there's more, that's just one aspect of the negativity. There's like a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot in that discussion.
The
So-
headline issue was too busy, by far.
Well, we also had just resurfaced, we spent a lot of time and money on resurfacing. This is before you arrived, but a lot of discussion on resurfacing those tennis courts, and they had all been lined for tennis. And then there was controversy for the tennis players of having lines down. So there was a whole public discussion on that. So you're right, the parking was really important, but I don't want to give the impression to anybody who's watching this that we didn't hear them talking about other issues associated with the tennis courts, vis-a-vis expanding them into pickleball.
I appreciate the recap.
Yeah.
That the headline issue of why that couldn't be done was too busy at Cherry Lawn, and all I'm suggesting is, personally, I can't get behind any study that doesn't like, tell us that that's gonna get solved. Because I'm not, another,
Yeah, no, we know it's too busy, for sure. We know it's too busy. We all get that.
So the next thing for this year also, we had in here renovating the bathhouse at Cherry. It had been in here for 20,000. I bumped it up to 40 to take care of all the ADA issues with that, so we would do that and contract it out. So that's what that's for. Then if you go down to Weed Beach, we have our annual stripping of the paddle court. So we would have this coming fiscal year 27 and then 28, and then we're good for quite some time.
Should we budget for another pickle? I don't even have two.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah,
good
We talked
idea.
about doing that, but we didn't have the numbers
I
yet
mean,
to support.
that's my only concern is we really didn't have it out there long enough, but if we're thinking about it, you kind of have
If
to,
we budgeted, we wouldn't,
it wouldn't be until another
it wouldn't
year.
be for this coming summer, it would be the following summer.
Oh, so we
Remember
still
the
would only
budget
have one
cycle,
call
because
for
the
this
money wouldn't be
Right.
available to July 1st.
Well, let's do it.
We
Because
found
then
is putting
we'll-
it
I
down
think
in
we
July
should
didn't
definitely,
work
can you
well.
scroll?
And then we would have a full season
Right.
with the other one down, with the tape that we think will work better. So
Right.
we would have a better sense of how.
So let's
it
budget it
worked.
so we don't miss it.
So put
because
it in,
I would definitely put it
It was 10 grand, right? Probably went up
it's
a little
like
bit.
four,
It will go up anyway.
it'll go up, but I'll,
Because then if you ultimately had two down there, then that provides
Mhm.
a nice alternative. And Jen, you said, and I know I saw as well, times there were, the new one was being used, but then there were teenagers or whatever then using one of the another paddle court just to play pickleball
Right.
anyway.
okay, so we can add that in. We are putting in, I'm for trying again to replace that gatehouse. That cost is I am trying to get a more firm price. I just did some inflation numbers on the quote that we had gotten a couple of years ago. So I'm waiting to hear back on that. Then we have our typical small capital. Oh, the trees are not in there. I put it in going out. Sorry. The small capital should be in there for 5,000. That's kind of an annual thing. Doing the tree replacement like
So
we
these
did
should
for
be
last
here.
year.
This should be 5,000 here.
There's,
This
yeah,
line,
under that
okay.
line.
And then 6,000
And
for
then
trees.
6,000 right under it, yep. Looking at the snow V blade for the skid steer, and then the stand-on mower. Two stand-on mowers for 26.5. It had been in fiscal year 28, and the feeling was, in speaking with Sandy, that we should move that up, and we pushed, I have to look at the other one. We swapped, we pushed something else out and moved that up. I'll have to follow up with that. Because he felt the mowers were more important right now, because our other mowers are 20, these would be replacing ones that are like 20 years old, and those are the ones that do the majority of our parks, our facilities. And then we threw in, we put in the compact track excavator out in 31, fiscal year 32. And that's sort of, most of the stuff was in here, kind of where it is.
A quick question, I'm not familiar with paddle so much, but why do the courts need to be stripped and painted every year?
They're not, we're doing one
One
each
per
year.
year.
Oh, it's one each year, okay.
It's one each year because of their age.
Oh,
And
okay.
then we'll be good. I think it's after like 10 or 15 years, whatever, we strip it down and then repaint it. So
Okay. So it's 1 foot each?
One, yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
That's why we'll be through all of them after next, well, fiscal year '28.
Is that it?
Cool. That's it?
There's still work to do on this. And I'll be getting that too.
Okay. Everybody's good?
Yep.
Okay. Our next meeting, which is scheduled for the
17th.
17th, I have a conflict. So we're voting on the budget, maybe the rules. Last year, I just said I was gonna be here, and people were like, let's change the meeting. I'm indifferent. If people could go ahead and have the meeting, it's fine, but I cannot be here on December 17th.
Are you gone that whole week?
No, just that night.
Just that night?
Just that night. Just that night. Conflict with my husband.
Yep, nice.
Okay, so, anyway, so, just proposing either that we change the date, or if you guys want to go ahead and make sure enough people can be here, because I know it's a really tough time of year with forums and
Right.
holiday events, and
Do you have dates that you would prefer?
I'm generally pretty flexible. Or you can hold a meeting, as I said, making sure that everybody else, and then we already lost Ed, so we don't know, and the other two. I think really the two big things are to vote on the budget, and then we could vote on the rules, or you could put that off. You could possibly just do it as another night to do it as a virtual meeting maybe for December, just to, because it's just, December 17th is a tough time of year anyway, people are getting whatever, so, but we do have to vote on the budget, so.
Maybe we just move it to Tuesday, or the night before.
16th.
I mean, if we're trying to get the vote through, I would push to virtual that time of year and just see who you can get on, try and get a quorum, try and get 2 votes through.
But she
Yeah,
can't
but
be
I'm saying,
on.
I understand what I'm saying, so 16th or 18th or 19th.
Oh, just
whatever, yeah, I
make
mean,
the date and
just-
make it a Zoom.
Just make it a Zoom.
Yeah, I can do the 16th, I can do
Much better chance of getting
Right.
everybody.
15th, I can do,
I will,
18th is coastal commission.
I don't know if it will be,
Let's do 16th.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just do the 16th.
16th.
Tuesday, or to make sure that works for Jen.
okay, yeah, I was trying to take notes too. Okay. Thank you. Yep. Just, I have holidays and stuff on my calendar, so that is the second night of Hanukkah, so I don't know if that's an issue.
I mean, first is
For the 16th.
First is the biggest one.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it doesn't bother anyone else, I think we should aim for the 16th.
Does that work for just everybody that's here?
Yeah.
6 of us that are here, let's move it to the 16th.
Yep.
We do it at the same time, 7:30, we could go a little bit earlier if people want to,
I'd say, why don't we reach out the week before, see who can make it, or whether it should be Zoom or in person?
well, we have to warn it.
Yeah,
we-
just
Yeah, we have to-
7:30 on Tuesday. Just do it at the same time.
December 16th, 7:30, and you guys want to try for in person, or would you rather just do a virtual because it's the holidays and it's busy?
So were you on that meeting?
Yeah.
I would lean towards trying to get it into a Zoom and see if we get more people, get the vote, and try and get the votes in.
Okay.
Discussion votes first, and hopefully get through it.
Okay, just make it a completely virtual meeting.
Yeah.
That might work better for Janet, I know with the kids and stuff, she's always, it's just really, it's a tough time of year anyway.
Yeah.
I know, Jenny, you said you like, first,
We can do the week after, what is anyone doing on the 24th, 25th?
oh yeah, that sounds great.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, so
Okay, all right,
doing
so I would need, all right, that's fine, as I said, if you guys just want to do whatever, but if that works for people, then.
Okay, so December 16th.
So then I need a
7:30.
motion to change our December 2025 meeting to would be a special meeting,
Virtual special
a
meeting.
virtual special meeting on December 16th at 7:30. Can I have a
Motion.
motion, Chris? Terry second, all in favor? Okay, and hopefully that works for the others. Okay, thanks, guys. All right, Jen, your report and my report.
We want you with us, Lori.
Okay.
And I'll try to do this fast. The main thing, so Pear Tree, kind of mentioned, it's underway, they're starting their mobilization. And we'll be getting more information as we go along. They're gonna try to keep parking lot open as much as they can. There will be times when it's gonna be completely closed off, but we'll get a better idea over that in the next next month or so. But we should really, they've already started doing some stuff there and mobilizing, so I think they're looking to start dredging around the first week of December. And with completion, for May 1.
Who's chairman of that committee?
Hot off the press.
Marcy Minnick and Marty Masterson are co-chairing
Okay.
the building committee, and Terry is on the meeting committee as well, representing Parks and Recreation
That's just
Commission.
hot off the press from a couple hours ago.
Yes. The RFP is out for the dredging of Tilly Pond and Cherry Lawn Pond, so those are due, responses are due on December 4th, so we're moving forward with that. Again, we're seeing that our registration numbers for fall were down a little bit. We do have some popular stuff, indoor soccer, Future Stars basketball, Kings Highway. Our paddle court revenue is up, but our usage is down a little bit, and that's because of our fees.
Really?
Yeah, so we're seeing, again, as I was saying before, we're seeing that our usage is dropping, because it was at such a high number, and ever since COVID, it's slowly coming down a little bit. So we'll see where that goes.
Okay, so it's not high fees, it's just, is it
I don't
high
think it's the fees, I
Okay.
think it's because we've been seeing it each year, that
Okay.
it's been coming down.
It peaked, yeah.
Yeah.
It peaked, it was like really crazy.
But the whole season's still ahead of us, so in terms of.
Yeah,
if people
we're
have-
just
Yeah.
starting, most of that is
Just
when
the
they do the
seasonal, right, the
seasonal
lottery.
stuff, so we don't know on the daily stuff that comes in, so that may increase, but based off of last year, a few people didn't come back, didn't get reservations and stuff, so
Okay.
that's why those numbers were down just a little bit. We're in the interview process for the Senior Manager of Recreation Programs and Events. That's the new position that we're doing. So we're hoping to get somebody in. My guess is by the time with holidays and giving notice and things, we're probably looking at the beginning of the year, of the new year. But we'll see how fast we can fill that. The other news is Cassie's last day was November 13th. She left, she went to Guilford, took a position there. So we've now have that position is now posted, just causing a little bit of confusion. People are like, wait, is this, they're thinking it's just reposted again. We do have a good number of applicants for this, as we did for the other one, so we'll see. That's open until November 28th. We had our Halloween pup parade and costume contest, the first one.
That was so cute.
Was at Tilly on October 19th. We had about 50 dogs, I'd say probably 200 or so attendees. People seemed to have a good time. We had the town clerk's office there to do some dog licensing and talk to people. We had the police department there with the K-9 team doing demonstrations, and we had a giant pumpkin for people to, to guess the weight and all that stuff. So it was kind of fun. November 8th, we did just do a food drive in partnership with Person to Person.
Yeah, how'd that go?
So it was really good. It was
Yeah, that's
super
what I heard.
busy. It was a steady stream. First one I've been at here. So I think we took in more than usual. I think it was also the whole SNAP issue was going on at the time. So I think more
Yeah.
people were coming.
Don't have.
And it was just.
Yeah, I heard from a couple of people that they had heard from, you had posted in the newsletter or the outreach email. And so people were just bringing bags.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I'm sure it was.
I mean,
sad.
some you obviously like just went to Costco or whatever, they just opened the back of their cars and said,
Just
let's take it
piled
out.
stuff.
I mean,
People were going shopping for it.
for
Well,
it,
that's what I
yeah,
did.
you could tell, I mean, it was, the generosity of some people was fabulous, then there were others that gave us expired stuff or weird stuff, but
Oh, just cleaning out their closet.
you're like, what, used, partially used, I don't know.
Well,
But
it's
anyway,
nice seeing all the students that
But-
were working the tables too. It was a nice group of teenagers were there
yeah,
collecting all the goods. It was great.
yeah, so it was good. And the weather turned out great because it was rainy at the beginning, right before, and then the sun came out, so that was great. Again, that's something the Youth Services Department did, so we're taking that over. Again, we're working with the Chamber and the Darien Sports Shop. The tree lighting will be on Sunday, November 30th, 4:30, and we have Old Fashioned Holiday, which we're trying to get prepared for, being down. Cassie,
Yeah.
who was, so we're trying to
It's
pull
tough
all the
stuff.
pieces together because, some stuff wasn't done, so we're trying to make sure that we have stuff there. So that's gonna be December 6th from 2 to 5. So if anyone wants to help volunteer, we could always use
I'll
the
be
help.
there, for sure.
And then just with our facilities, Little League is done. We just built a whole new leaf collection box on the back of the hook truck. So that's now in operation, so they're busy, obviously cleaning up leaves, and they'll be doing that probably through early December. And then we're also, Sandy's working on lining up some of the areas to reduce some invasive removal during the off-season. So we're working on that. We've gotten our new loader that arrived. And that's kind of where we're at. So we're
Any
busy.
questions for Jen? Okay, I don't have too much. OPC met yesterday. Covered a lot of things. I usually just report to you guys anything that's more specific to us, so there wasn't a ton at yesterday's meeting. The only update is there'll be a special meeting of P&Z on December 2nd at 7 p.m. To give an update on the POCD. So if that's of interest to people, because, what the community is saying, how we will look forward can impact the parks. Other than that, you guys can, you can certainly watch the meeting and updates from the Selectmen, Board of Ed, Board of Finance, P&Z, RTM, etc. Coastal Commission meets tomorrow night, but I did want to mention that members of the Coastal Commission, joined by the Eco Citizen Club of Darien High School, had a beach cleanup a few Sunday mornings ago. They parked at Pear Tree, worked their way up there, and I think some folks went over to Weed as well, but they collected 591 pounds of refuse.
Jeez.
Yeah, which they said was their best haul ever. So our extreme thanks to them for that effort in helping to clean up the beaches and the waterways. As Jen mentioned, the food drive was a great success. The building committee had its first meeting tonight. The next meeting is December 3rd. It was decided there'll be mostly virtual meetings. Generally, they're going to try to start around 4 p.m. It's sort of more of a daytime virtual meeting. And probably have about a once-a-month cadence. So they haven't set the full meeting schedule as of tonight, but the next one will be December 3rd. And that is pretty much everything I have.
Okay.
Anything else? No, we'll take the motion to adjourn. Mary Louise, Chris second, all in favor? Thank you, TV 79.
Feel better.